Ready? Good morning. I'd like to welcome all those in the commission chambers as well as those online. This is Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. This is the Weber County Board of Commissioners meeting. I'm Commissioner Gage Farag, who will be conducting this morning. With me to my left is Commissioner Sharon Bolos. To my right, Commissioner Jim Harvey. We're going to start today's meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance given by our own Cassie Bybee. It will then have an invocation given by Mr. Rick Grover, and I'm going to do the thought of the day, and then we'll go to public comments. Cassie?
Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation of God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to meet as a county this day and to meet under such favorable circumstances. We're thankful for our farmers, and we pray that they might be blessed with the needed weather to be blessed with a bountiful harvest. We're grateful for our commissioners and for their willingness to serve. We pray that they might be guided in the decisions they make this day, that they might be led to make those decisions that will bless our county and the future posterity of our county. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, Commissioner. So yesterday we celebrated a fairly new holiday to the state of Utah, not necessarily very new to the United States, called Juneteenth. And I was quite surprised at the number of people that called or ran into that didn't understand the significance, because it isn't very well publicized, or hasn't been because of the history, not like July 4th and some of these others, but it's a celebration of the emancipation, I think, as we look back. And the reason for that is that, for a little bit of history, on January 1st, 1863, that's when the Emancipation Declaration was actually put into effect. But 2 years later, there was parts of the United States, primarily in Texas, that had not received the word because they were Confederate-held states. And so it took 2 years for basically the doctrine to get out that the emancipation. And so on June 19th, 1865, a group of Union soldiers walked into or rode into Galveston Bay, Texas, and at that point in time released and emancipated an additional 250,000 enslaved people. And that's what it's about. I think that's a little bit of our history that again, parts of that we can be proud of, parts of it we can't, but very clear that everybody has the right to exist regardless of color, race, etc. And we need to recognize the ability of those people to celebrate. So anyway, I think it was a good holiday, a good lesson for many of us, including myself. With that, Commissioners, I'll go to public comments. Anyone online or in the audience that would like to come before the commission, now's your time. We'd ask that you take no more than 3 minutes and speak to the agenda items presented today. Shelley, anyone online? Anyone in the chamber would like to come forward? All right, going once, twice. Nobody's rushing the mic. Let's now go to our presentations. We're very honored today. Our first recognition for our presentation is to honor a good friend of mine and the commission's, Weber County, over the last number of years, Mr. Mark Johnson. I hear he's retiring very shortly. We've had some discussions that maybe we could talk him out of that, but I don't blame him for not. Anyway, we wanted to give a special recognition to Mark for the years of service that he's dedicated to Ogden City. And as I've said on a number of occasions, so goes Ogden City, Weber County will follow. And being the primary largest city in Weber County, we've always haven't necessarily seen eye to eye in everything, but we've always worked through those with the best interest of the citizens in Ogden City in mind. And for the great work that Mark and the mayors, I don't know how many mayors he's worked for in the past, has brought forth to the county and especially the city, and the direction that he's been able to kind of direct us all in. I know Commissioner Harvey, you've got some thoughts on that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've known Mark for several decades. One of the things that I've taken personal note with is that he's been a giver. He's contributed a lot, not just to the city and the community.
Recording in progress.
Well, okay, I'll get to the best part now.
Start over?
He's not only just given to the community and the city, but he's given a lot to his neighbors, his area, his church, his family, his friends. And through that all, whether it's clear back in the banking business or the countless boards that he's served on and been away, his wife Gail has been a rock for him and a safe place. He speaks fondly of you every time, and it's about time that you get a little more time with him. I wish both of you great health as you move on to hopefully many, many, many more chapters and decades to follow. And hopefully that all this pay it forward that you've done will come back to you in manyfold, and you'll have a wonderful experience, Mark. I'm happy for you, well deserved, and really appreciate being able to be around you closer so I can learn from your example. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Bolos?
Sure, Mark. I met Mark over 30 years ago, believe it or not, when I was a newlywed and a brand new resident of Ogden City, and he was an ecclesiastical leader of mine. And he taught me a couple of, well, he taught me a lot of lessons, but he taught me personally a couple of really great lessons that I'll never forget. And then with my dad working for Ogden City, in our family, we always knew what was going on in Ogden City, for good or for bad. And for Mark, it was always good. And so I appreciate the kind of leader he is and the things that I learned about him before I ever got the opportunity to work with him. And we haven't really had much of a chance to work together. And maybe that's why you're leaving, is because I'm here. I don't know, but I'm sorry. Anyway, I respect Mark in a lot of ways, and I wish you the best, and Gail as well, in your retirement. I hope you enjoy many fun years of no work.
All right. With that, Mark, again, congratulations on your retirement. Best wishes for the future. I think you're going to have an amazing time. I hear you're going to possibly go to warmer weather, which is probably going to be a good thing. With that, and you have the mayor with you, I'm going to invite both the mayor and Mark, and anybody who'd like to come forward and have the last remarks. Mayor, I know that you probably want to have an opportunity this morning. Please come forward. And then we have a small appreciation gift we're going to hand out.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to give my respect anywhere I can to Mark. He's been a great wingman and a wing person for a long time. When I came in, a lot of people know my first day on the job was more than a little bit overwhelming. And to not have somebody like him to kind of back that up and bring institutional knowledge as to what worked and what didn't work, and mistakes we've made in the past and ways we wanted to improve in the future, there's no way I could have made that transition. It was an interesting first year. It's been an interesting 11 and a half years. And I think Ogden City's accomplished a lot because we have somebody like him that looks over the day-to-day as my ADHD drags me all over the place and into other areas. So there are very few places in public service where you don't sometimes have to look over your shoulder and worry about what's happening and what's going on and everything else. I've never once worried about the trustworthiness of Mark and the advice he was giving and the direction he was helping push our city into. So it's he laughs all the time and says, well, it's leadership's kind of like putting your hand in a 5-gallon bucket of water. When you pull it out, everything just, that is not the case with Mark. Mark has left an indelible mark in Ogden City, and I think on legislative issues, he's been everywhere. He's been on, as was mentioned, a lot of different boards. Comes with a lot of respect. I don't know. He's still the first in and last out, and when I'm less than a week to go before I'm retiring, I will not be the first in and the last out, but that's credit to his character, and I cannot publicly express enough how much I appreciate everything that you've done, Mark, what you've stood for, and everything you've given me and helped to stand me up with. Everybody in an elected
if you're not
official,
there, the whole thing's dead. And if you're...
Everybody as an elected official would love to have a Mark Johnson on their side and watching their back. So thank you, Mark. You will be greatly missed.
Thank you, Mayor. Mark, time's yours. And we're going to give you a little longer than 3 minutes, just so you know, if you take it.
This might be a little more difficult than I think even a funeral. Because you have to hear everything that's being said, and I don't know, sometimes, I appreciate the honor, and I thank you for the privilege of being able to work with you. I have worked with county commissioners now for a long time, some who you have replaced, and even before that. My time with Gage goes back a long time. Most of the time we agree, sometimes we haven't. Sometimes we fought it out even down at the Capitol, but I have a great respect for Gage and for Gloria. Gloria's a good friend. And Gage, I really appreciate what you have done for our community and for our county. Jim Harvey I have known for a long time. There's not enough O's in smooth to describe Jim Harvey. And I've never gone anywhere with Jim Harvey where he didn't know 95% of the people there. He's impossible to go to lunch with because it takes him a long time to actually get to his seat because he has to go schmooze with everyone. But I like Jim Harvey a lot. He's a likable person, and I really appreciate his leadership in our county and grateful for his friendship. And Sharon I've known a long time, and I've known her family a long time. I've known her grandparents and her dad. I worked side by side with John, who they call Jack, and her grandfather, who they call John and I call Jack. It's a confused family. But I was delighted to see her elected to the county commission. I think she will be a good addition to this mixture of commissioners, and I have a lot of respect for you, and I have great respect what you did as mayor, and delighted that you're here giving that to the county. There's nothing that Ogden City could have done in my last 23 years without Weber County. None of the economic development, the rebirthing, none of that could have taken place. And rebirthing is more expensive than just birthing. What's being done up in Ogden Valley, what's being done in Plain City, what's being done all over, you can take a green piece of property and develop it, and it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot easier. What's happening in Ogden and what Mayor Godfrey started, and really Mayor Meekum started to some degree, has been a delight to watch and to see the county and the school district be partners in being able to make that happen. We don't come back and say thank you like we should, and I apologize for that, but thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being a great partner in what's happened in our city. Without you, none of this would have happened, and we really appreciate it. And I remember, you're caused to reflect when you're walking out the door a little bit, and you're wishing you'd written a book of, you can't make this stuff up, of the stuff that happens over to the time. But I remember when we were trying to get the Solomon Center built, and there was a fair amount of public opposition to that. And I remember getting a call from Alex Jensen, who was the city manager of Layton. And Alex said, Mark, we're praying for you. We're hoping this goes through, this Solomon Center vote tonight. And I said, Alex, why do you care what happens in Ogden? And he goes, what happens in Ogden lifts us all, and we all need Ogden to do well. It impacts us even in Layton. I was pretty impressed with that. I was pretty impressed that he was willing to do that. And two, I was pretty impressed with the concept that Ogden has a great deal of importance to what happens in our county, and maybe more than just our county. So thank you very much. I wish you well. I hope you are successful. I want you to remember on July 1, I become only a citizen, a poor, retired, fixed income citizen who will be watching to make sure you don't raise my taxes. And I have heard now for 21 years all of the excuses and reasons why you shouldn't, and I'm willing to use them all. No, I'm just kidding you. I do need to say one other thing. None of this would have been possible in my life. My 3 careers, which Jim alluded to a couple of them, without Gail. Gail's been by my side. I remember one night after city council meeting, she had listened to city council meeting, and when I got home, she was madder than I was. And I said, this isn't going to work. You can't listen to city council. I need a calm person when I come home. I don't need someone angrier than I am. She's been that person that has been good for me, and now she's my full-time boss. I'm a little worried. I hope I don't get terminated. If I do, I may have to come ask for a job here. But I really appreciate her and love her, and I'm looking forward to spending more time with my grandchildren. Most of band concerts and choir concerts are all on Tuesday night, and I've missed a lot. And my grandkids are excited for me not to miss. My grandson gave me a fishing pole. I don't fish. And he said, I do, and you're going to come fishing with me from now on. And I have no clue how to use a fishing pole. But I might go sit and talk to him while he catches fish. So a lot coming in the future. Again, I thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And let me just say this, on behalf of the citizens of Weber County, which includes, don't leave yet, we're going to have you stay up there and get a presentation, which includes Ogden City, obviously, to the majority share. You never hear it as a public official or citizen working for the mayor, the thanks that you deserve to have for what the city has done for the county and really the state over the past number of years. And without your help, I truly believe for those 3 mayors that you served, we wouldn't be at the spot we are today without your efforts. So thank you very much. Now we're going to come forward. We have a little Weber County book in case you get bored and, during your retirement need to open up a book. We have one for you about Weber County.
That's, if it's okay, Mr. Chair, I think Mark, from those who are here, certainly deserves a recognition with an applause.
We do.
Thank you.
Yeah, would you please join us in a round of applause? All right, we're going to have you guys right here in front.
We have a couple of Ogden City people. Can they come join us?
Sure. Yeah. Please do. Whoever you like to.
The OC people need to come up.
Give that little gift appreciation.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you for that. Great recognition of very dedicated public servant. So now we're going to have another recognition for excellent service, who happens to be one of our own. And Really, it's my honor to recognize Joe Hadley and his group for the roads department over the past number of months, starting probably November, December. We had a little thing called snowfall, and Joe and his crew took on that effort that for the countless hours, many nights, very late nights, was out removing snow, helping people in both the upper and lower valley that needed access to their home. And without Joe's effort and his crew's efforts to put in those long hours and dedications to the citizens, it would have been far more difficult to survive this winter that we just saw. And we thought we were in pretty good shape with the snow removal, which Joe did an excellent job, but because of the amount of snow, it went from one area, which was snow removal, to flood control, almost overnight, if you remember that. And again, Joe's crews were called upon to get involved with flood mitigation, both on the Upper Valley, South Fork, North Fork, and also the Lower Weber River. And his crews were out there working, again, countless hours, day and night, building banks. And because of his efforts, not only just for the snow removal, but for flood mitigation, we were able to come through in what I would call more than fantastic terms, because what we did is we really took that amount of water, amount of snow, turned that into an area called the Great Salt Lake that everybody wanted to see it go, and had very minimal property damage, no safety, no life issues. And we just wanted to take this time, Joe, to make sure you knew, again, from the citizens of Weber County, and you didn't hear it a lot from the citizens. We heard a lot from those people that complained about snow in their front yards. We hear a lot about the people that were flooded, but you didn't hear from the thousands of people that we actually made their lives easier and safer because of your crews. And again, from myself personally, and from the commission, from the citizens of Weber County, I wanted to give you our personal thanks and recognition. With that, Commissioner Harvey, you're never at a loss for words.
Thank you. I've known Joe, fortunately, for a lot of years, and his family. I believe in Joe. I believe in Joe so much that I've watched him sing with pride some patriotic tunes. Some may in the audience know what that is, others, most won't, and that's okay. But I've watched how he's honored his family and his kids by his actions outside of his home. He's honored his parents. He's certainly honored Weber County. I can't think of a time ever in my life where I've called Joe he hasn't called back. And it's not, Joe is the perfect example of find a way to say yes, find a way to get it done. Almost to a fault. Not quite, but almost. He handles some of the most challenging customers in Weber County with integrity and finesse. But you know, this isn't just about roads, because about Joe, and Joe's a fantastic leader, and I think he's gotten the most out of his people. But this is also about roads. Joe was able to lead the team, but many of those team, it was amazing to me as I would get up in the middle of the night to do what guys do in the middle of the night. I hear a snowplow go by, out pushing, or see the lights flashing through the windows. And that continued relentlessly throughout, not just throughout the winter, but then into the spring. All the interesting little layouts and little roads and accesses and things and boulder removals and and all the interesting things that have come along. The guys, the team, the staff out at the roads, just it's been absolutely incredible to watch. It's just unbelievable in the amount of extra time, and I just, it's with so much gratitude we have for the team, the roads team out there. Oftentimes, so many times it goes unsaid, but it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate what you do, and under limited budgets, you make things work, and hopefully with some of the decisions we make within our chamber as commissioners, we can do things and make sure things happen for you to make your jobs just a little more easy or comfortable, as you have to put up with and do a lot of different things. So we really, so the entire roads team out there, we really appreciate you guys and what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bolos.
I don't really have anything to add other than my thanks. As the other two have mentioned, just your hard work this winter. And Joe's a great leader. Anytime he gave a report, it always involved his own work as well. He's not just someone who gives direction, you know. He's someone who's out there with the crew. So thank you to you and your crew for all that they did this winter to keep us safe.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And as Commissioner Harvey said, we can give a lot of accolades, recognition to the team. The team is the one that actually was out there, you know, day in, day out. But teams perform by example. And Joe could have easily been in his office, you know, I'm going to get in at 8 o'clock and leave at 5, and told his team what to do. But he wasn't. He was up on the divide at midnight or 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever it took. And so good teams respect leadership that get involved, not just being told what to do. And I think that's a reason we've had such an effective crew or team out there, is because Joe leads by example. He doesn't expect anything from his team or his crew that he wouldn't do himself. And that becomes a critical component of good leadership. Joe, thank you very much. We want to recognize you and your team. We'll be talking to you a little bit later today. Before we end, with anything you would like to come up and say?
Thank you for the kind words. I try to be a rock, but you guys really got to me. In this leadership position, my sister's here. She can attest that our father taught us how to work hard. I've heard it said that mental toughness is essential to success. You have, in this position, you got to be mentally tough. A chain's only as strong as its weakest link. We got a tough crew out there. Individual commitment to a group effort, that's what makes a team work. And our team does a great job. But inside that team, every individual has their route that they have to do. And if somebody's not there, somebody steps up and fills in, if it be me or anybody. I couldn't imagine doing this job without our supervisor, Jared Klontz, our crew leader, Travis Coons, and our office manager, Riley Horton Matthews. They're amazing. They're just truly what makes the road department function. And I try to lead by example. The flood control, that was just like a well-oiled machine this year, all the way from the DWR opening their gates, all the way to Rockport, Echo, Smith and Morehouse. Everyone seemed worked together this year, and it just went smooth, a well-oiled machine, I like to say. I think it was more than maybe just our efforts. I think our prayers, I don't know, but I think there was more to this than just our hard work. I think prayers were answered, that the snow melt came down a lot slower. It could have been a disaster, but everything just worked out great, and Mother Nature took care of us. So thank you, commissioners, for the kind words, and Thanks again.
Thank you. Joe, stay there just a second. We just wanted to make sure that members of the public and in the audience had a chance to give you a little recognition. If you wouldn't mind, let's stand and give Joe a round of applause and his crew. All right, commissioners. Good start for the commission meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I make a suggestion that we do action, or agenda item J, the Stall of Fame at this time,
I think we should.
while we're in the mood?
Yeah, we're in the mood of recognizing. Great suggestion. I'm going to take that. We're going to move the agenda and go to commissioners' comments. And part of the commissioner comments would be our Stall of Fame award winner for this next month. And it's Kim McTee, and she works for the assessor's office. I don't see Ulibarri here. Is he coming? Okay. Anyway, we heard about Kim just in the last couple of weeks, and in her job, she makes visits to various homes for valuation purposes, and which is not necessarily sometimes a pleasant job with some of the people, because they think that maybe that the county's getting involved with areas that they shouldn't, but it's very, very much needed. And it's a job that takes a lot of effort, education, and especially what I would call personal relationships. But after doing one of these visits, and I believe it was the Upper Ogden Valley, that she got involved with a homeowner that was having problems with potential flooding, and she actually took the time to go back, or out of her own time frame, to help sandbag that particular property. And that, again, goes what we call beyond the call of duty for her job and for the county. It's the effort that we would encourage all our county employees to put forth, which is recognizing that our bosses are members of the public, and that this effort given by Kim, again, just shows her dedication, not only to her job, but the citizens of Weber County. And with that, we're proud to give her the Stall of Fame for month of July 2023. Any additional comments?
I think Dee Dee Kimber might say it.
Okay. Mandy would love to say it. Mandy, yeah.
No.
Delegate to me.
So, yeah, so this was actually, make sure that we give credit where credit's due. Mandy and Monica from the assessor's office, please come up, because you're the ones that...
Monica's not here today.
Monica's not here?
Mandy is Mandy.
Okay, Mandy, come on up. So, Kim, if you want to blame anybody for this embarrassment, you know who to blame.
You've covered it all, actually. That's kind of the point of it. I was just surprised that she would take her time to do that. She went and got her family to help her. She actually went up to Box Elder to get the sandbag, so it wasn't an easy task for her. So we appreciate her efforts in helping out the public.
Great.
That's all we got.
Kim, come on up. You get the famous Stall of Fame Silver Star from Weber County. We're going to come up and present this to you.
You actually start tomorrow with the Stall of Fame until next month sometime, so. You want to go on down in front, we'll take pictures.
Congratulations. That's yours.
One, two, three. Let's do one more.
So before you leave, one last thing. Again, you deserve recognition. Please join us in a round of applause for Kim. Thank you very much. All right. Any other changes in the agenda before we move forward?
Not for me.
Seeing none. All right. Something tells me we may be going a little longer today than usual, but not necessarily a bad thing. All right, let's go to consent items then, Commissioners, which would be consent item G 1 through 8, looks like. Okay, 1 through 7. Number 1, request for approval of warrants 8255 through 8294, and number 477118 through 477267, and number 272 in the amount of $631,961.73. 2, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $152,539.32. 3, summary of warrants and purchase orders. I'm going to go to Mr. Ricky Hatch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We issued 13 purchase orders this week for $153,000. 39% of the amount, or $60,000, is for the Golden Spike Event Center to purchase fencing and concessions. 15%, or $23,000, is for the Health Department to purchase vaccines. 13%, or $20,000, is for the library to replace a couple of compressors. 12%, or $19,000, is for IT to purchase software and hardware. Then a couple of items around $11,000, or 8%, transfer station for web design services and tire repair, and then 7%, or $10,000 for the weeds to purchase herbicide. As far as checks, we issued 191 warrants this week for $632,000. Just over a third of that amount, $220,000, is for the library to pay for software maintenance. $15,000 or $92,000 is for the jail, which paid for expansion, jail expansion technical services, culinary, and building maintenance. 7%, or $42,000, is for the Golden Spike Event Center to pay for a feasibility study, pay for a new lawnmower, and some building maintenance. And then lastly, 5%, or $33,000, is for the sheriff to purchase fuel as well as pay for a little training and travel.
Thank you, Ricky. Questions for Ricky? Seeing none, let's move on with our consent items. Number 4, request for approval of minutes for the meetings held on June 13th, 2023. 5, request for approval of new business licenses. 6, request for approval of an interlocal cooperation agreement by and between Weber County and Plain City for a guaranteed waste stream from Plain City to Weber County Transfer Station. 7, request for approval of an interlocal agreement by and between Weber County and Harrisville City for survey-related services. 8, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for a temporary construction license for the surveyor's office to install a section corner monument on church property. 9, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Desert Dog Signs for dasher board advertisement space at the Weber County Ice Rink. 10, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Utah State University Extension for the 4-H horse show to be held at the Golden Spike Event Center. And 11, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Inola Chavez to hold the June 2023 matched races at the Golden Spike Event Center. Those are the consent items. Commissioners, comments, questions? If not, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I'll
sir.
make a motion that we approve those consent items as presented and reported on today.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Consent items are approved as read. Let's go to action items. H1, request for approval of a minor amendment to the Nordic Valley Village Development Agreement regarding ordinance vesting. Charlie Ewert is no longer here today with us, so Mr. Rick Grover will take his place. Rick.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is just an amendment. It's the first amendment to the Nordic Valley Development Agreement. And what it's doing is it's basically just allowing them to be vested under the previous ordinance that was in place for the form-based code. They were approved under that, and that's what we felt that they were vested under, but this is just further clarification.
Okay, questions, commissioners? So it's not a change, it's just a clarification that whatever was approved prior will continue to exist.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Makes sense. I'd look for a motion.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks very much. Let's now go to H2, request for approval of the first reading of an ordinance of the County Commissioners of Weber County amending the Weber County fee ordinance. Mr. Chief Aaron Perry.
Good morning,
Chief,
Commissioners.
welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So we're asking that our fee schedule be amended to add a fee for right of access criminal backgrounds. What that is if a citizen, say one example is there's several circumstances, but there's certain times when individuals are requested by a third party, whether it's a new job or I think adoption is another one, to present to an agency that is requesting a copy of their criminal history, their individual criminal history. Right now, if a citizen wants to get their own criminal history, that is all managed through the Bureau of BCI through the state down in Salt Lake. So an individual would have to go down to Salt Lake and do it. BCI charges a fee of $15. So what we're trying to do is we have an agreement. The law allows us to have an agreement with them to be an agency to be able to do that here for convenience. So you don't have to travel down to Salt Lake. You can come to the sheriff's office and request your criminal history, and then we'll provide it for you. Our fee would be exactly the same as the fee from the state, the $15.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions for Chief? Anything else? Commissioner Bolos, this is in your portfolio.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance as stated.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate it. Let's now go to action item H3, request for approval of a memorandum of understanding by and between Weber County and Hill Air Force Base to provide guidelines and instructions regarding confinement of Hill Air Force Base military members at the Weber County Jail. Lieutenant Christy Rowley, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Lieutenant,
Thank you.
time's yours.
So we are here to, we've updated the memorandum of understanding between the Weber County Correctional Facility and the 75th Air Base Wing, which is Hill Air Force Base, in regards to confining the military members. This agreement was last updated in October of 2022. Since then, the Air Wing commander has changed. The point of contacts within the jail has also changed. We've also cleaned up the language in the original memorandum. Makes it easier to read. There's very clearly defines the Hill Air Force Base's duties and their responsibilities, and then the Weber County Correctional Facility's duties and responsibilities. So it's just an easier document to read now. So.
Good. Okay, questions, commissioners? Also in your portfolio, Commissioner Bolos.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the MOU between Weber County and Hill Air Force Base as presented by Lieutenant Rowley.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lieutenant, appreciate you being with us. Let's go to action item H4, request for approval of the first reading of an ordinance of the County Commissioners of Weber County amending certain fees to the Weber County Parks and Recreation Department facilities. I'm assuming this deals with the ice sheet.
It does.
Rico
Hi.
Rollins.
So I look at the values behind you up on the wall, and this fee ordinance is a reflection of those values. I think there are several rinks in Utah that charge a general base fee, and they haven't considered that you're not only renting ice, we're renting to different types of events, and we provide lots of different services. So this fee ordinance updates our facility so that we can properly charge for those services that we provide.
Great. Commissioner Harvey?
She's done a wonderful job doing the background, the research, and the justifications that warrant such changes, and I think it's responsible to the taxpayers that we go ahead and consider or to approve this. And so, if you're ready, Mr. Chair?
I'm ready.
I'll make a motion that we approve this fee ordinance change as presented by Ms. Rollins today.
Second?
I'm going to place the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Mariko. I appreciate you taking the time to look at that and updating our fees. 5, action item H5, request for approval of resolution, which would be 29-2023 of the County Commissioners of Weber County, appointing members to the Grandma Appeals Board. Craig?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Section 2-13-7 of the Weber County Code establishes a 3-member appeals board to hear and decide appeals of decisions made by Weber County's Chief Administrative Officer when a GRAMA response is in disagreement from the requester. The board is to be comprised of 1 member that's a county employee, and the other 2 members are from the public, one of which needs to have some background in requesting or managing records. Roger Larson's recent retirement created a vacancy for the county's representative on the board, and that leaves James Ebert and Nathan Carroll as board members from the public, though Nathan Carroll was recently hired to the Public Defender's Office, and he has agreed to and willing to serve as the county's representative on the board. Also, we are proposing Noel Zabreski to be appointed as the 2nd member from the public. Some background on Mr. Zabreski: he has a BA and master's from BYU. He served as the Ogden School District Superintendent from 2003 to 2011, and he currently serves on multiple boards, including the Ogden School Foundation. He's an avid scouter, and according to our own Ricky Hatch, he's a great singer.
Didn't know that. Okay.
So in summary, 2 proposals are being made for the GRAMA Appeals Board. 1, that we appoint Nathan Carroll as a representative for the county, and 2, that we appoint Noel Zabreski as a board member from the public.
Got it. Questions, Commissioners?
Without reservation or hesitation, I can approve Noel Zabriskie. I know I've known him for 50 years. He's a wonderful man.
And I'd second that. I've known Noel for a long period of time. I'm glad that he's willing to serve. That's great. Okay, Commissioner Bolos?
Make a motion.
Comments, questions, or a motion?
You ready for a motion?
I'm ready.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 29-2023.
And we have a motion.
Second?
And we have a second. Craig?
Roll call vote for Resolution 29-2023. Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Ford?
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Let's go to H6. Request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Wardrobe Witchery to obtain the use of costumes for the Ogden, or for the 2023 Ogden Musical Theater's production of The Music Man. Cassie Bybee, welcome.
Welcome. Well, good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is, we've used this company before and used a few of their costumes for Shrek. We had some shipped out for Shrek, just very, very few. This is a little bit larger contract that, as you can see in the contract, they're doing the majority of the costuming. We still have a costumer on board that will has taken all the measurements and things, and so they are now altering these costumes to fit, you know, the actors. And then we'll have a few odds and ends costumes that we'll still be doing, such as, you know, some of the band uniform costumes that we'll be doing, and then some of the townspeople as well. But this covers the majority of the leads of the costumes, this contract.
Okay. Got it. Commissioner Harvey, this is in your portfolio.
Wonderful job, Cass. Without hesitation, when you're ready, Mr. Chair.
I'm ready.
I'll make a motion that we approve that contract as presented by Ms. Bybee today.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Cassie.
Okay, thank you.
We're looking forward to that. That's coming right up. with
Yeah, opens July 28th.
July 28th.
Yeah, and this Friday is Kids Act Up performance.
That's right.
Have to get that plug in. 12:30.
12:30,
over
be
at
there.
the theater.
Okay.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Cass.
Thank you, Cassie. All right, Commissioners, that takes care of our action items for the day. Let's now go to our public hearing. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn our public meeting and reconvene as a public hearing.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. We're now in a public hearing. Public hearing would be to consider and/or take action on an ordinance of the proposed amendment to the Weber County zoning map, changing certain property from A2, which is agricultural, to MT, manufacturing and technology, and allowing for the uses permitted within that zone and subject to the regulations associated with that zone, together with the development agreement by and between Weber County and Black Pine LLC and Mr. Bill Kobe. But keep in mind, Commissioners, this is for approval of the zone and also the development agreement, if I'm not wrong. Bill, go
You're
ahead.
absolutely correct, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the time and the consideration. You've seen some emails go back and forth between the developer and staff regarding some of these changes that were proposed as a result of our last discussion last week. And we've got to a place where we feel like the developer has proposed and is committed to certain things, and then the last remaining point of discussion we felt like needed to be clarified was with regard to the fence. You saw the conversation, so I don't know how much more to go into that. The development agreement that you see in front of you is from the developer. That's their latest and greatest, and does not include provision for a requirement for a fence. If you would like that, we can entertain a discussion on that and or revision to the development agreement to require a fence. But the development agreement that you have in front of you, and I put a little pink sticky note there to highlight where that's at, it just doesn't include the provision for the fence. So that's the last outstanding item, I believe, on this, as the conversation went last week. And so if you have any other questions or comments, I'm available. There are representatives from the developer here as well. So if you have questions or comments for them, otherwise, that's where we're at.
Thank you. All right, I think we're all very much aware of that issue. Let's go to public comments to begin with. Anyone online for public comments? Shelley? All right, commissioners, I would go to a motion. I'd look for a motion to adjourn our public hearing and reconvene as a public meeting.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're now in a public hearing. And so, Bill, since you brought that issue up, at least I can give my personal opinion on that. I think that I'm comfortable with reducing the 300-foot easement to the 100-foot that was talked about. And obviously what this will necessitate is a change in our ordinance, because right now under our general plan and ordinance it's 300 feet. That's a fairly wide adjustment in that, there was a lot of discussion. Members of the public out there felt that that a 300-foot was probably required. I think in looking at least from my own perspective, that's probably a little more than probably would be required in ordinance. In terms of the fence, I'm not quite as solid as far as giving a carte blanche exemption, because now we will go back and have to redraft that ordinance, and that really sets a precedence for any future developers to use this development agreement as a stance why they wouldn't have to put fence. Now, maybe in this point in time, a fence would not necessarily be required and or necessary or desired by the developers, but by making that part of the development agreement, we really set future commissions up, again, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, where an opportunity may come before us that because of use or because of other factors, the county may determine that it's in the best interest of the citizens to fence it. I don't feel that it's proper for any commission to put a future burden on future commissions, that it would now be the obligation of the county to go in and condemn or pay for a fence for some type of future use. What I would propose would be the following, that we would allow that under the development agreement with the provision that in the future, if a future commission decided it was in the best interest of the county that a fence be installed, that fence would be installed at the direction of the county, at the owner's, developer's expense at that point in time. Again, would not require them to put it in now, but I would be opposed to setting a standard that gives them carte blanche that in the future that would be a burden on the county to put a fence in if it was determined. It may never happen, but I don't think it's under our, I guess, best judgment to bind future commissions and put future commissions in the position of having to spend taxpayer dollars for a fence or any other use. But that's my thoughts, commissioners. I'd entertain comments or questions.
Yeah, I'd like to make some comments, Mr. Chair. So, for your information, I went and did some homework yesterday. When I went on my run, I ran on the trail in West Haven and Marriott Slaterville. because I've noticed in running that trail before that there are properties that have fences and properties that don't. And I took some photos that I won't share with you because I'll just describe those. But I think the aesthetic that we're going for is the beauty and open space of the river itself, and eventually the pathway. And fences really get in the way of that. The trail at this point in time needs a lot of cleanup because of the damage that was done by the flooding, which is one of the reasons why I don't want to show you the pictures, because it's not beautiful and gorgeous, but it's open and it's natural. And the places that have fences, some of them have graffiti on them. Some of them are just tall. There's a 12-foot fence with the
Constantino wire.
is that what it's called? Is it named after my husband?
Constantino.
You threw me off. And it just doesn't have the look that I think we're going for. And I think with a 100-foot easement, it gives plenty of space for that natural open space to exist and be enjoyed by eventual trail users. And I don't think we need to require a fence. Now, that being said, those properties that do have fences, most of them were put up by the property owner because of their own security needs, and they want to protect their property. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay if a property owner wants to put a fence on their property. If I was trying to protect my family from something, whether it be trail users or whoever else exists along the river, I would put up my own fence for my own security. And I think that's the right that property owners should have. And I think that speaks to two things, both the aesthetics that we're looking for and for the property owner's right to protect their property in any way that they see fit, which may come in the future when they sell those buildings to a user who might feel like they need a fence for security. But I don't think it's our responsibility to tell them how to protect their property.
Okay, good point. Commissioner Harvey?
No, I think what this does is, what's been talked about in this is it gives latitude, and also one of the things I like about what you've just said, Commissioner Bolos, is you went out there and did the homework, and we don't know what that section's going to be yet or not, and so this also gives the property owner the right to go ahead and fence if they want to, or they feel like that's going to be a need for them as well. And so I think what this does is it establishes a foundation without putting the burden on this pioneering group out there for where we're headed in the future. So.
All right. Well, just so I think clarify my thoughts, and I also have done a little research over the past couple of days, actually since last week, called a few of my friends that are located or part of communities farther south, and some of those cities that they're involved with are not necessarily counties, but cities. Some of those require fences, some didn't. But it was interesting, if you look at the cities I talked to, what they determined that this is not necessarily about the protecting private property, it's about public safety. And 3 of the 4 cities I talked to basically said, if we had it to do today, we'd require fence along every path because of safety concerns we've seen, and that I won't go into any details, but basically it's public safety. It's not a matter of private property or protecting private property. It gets to the point where public safety, very much like we dealt with Weber County Schools on the fences that they saw leading out. I believe that was Roy High, and we had the conversation with the new Fremont. So there has been a clear need, and we've even seen it in this county, where public safety becomes an issue, not necessarily protection of private property. I don't disagree if a private property wants it up, but what I don't want to do is tie the hands of future commissions 10, 15, 20 years down the road that would become a burden on the citizens at that point in time. So anyway, that's my comment. I'm happy to take action on the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-2021.
We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Craig?
It's just for the ordinance, not the development agreement.
Is that for the development
No,
agreement as
you-
well? Or
You
just
know
the-
what? That's right. They're both in that.
So
thing,
they're in the same.
Do you want to?
The ordinance includes both of them, right?
My understanding, Bill, is that, are they separate, the ordinance? They're-
They can be voted on at the same time.
But they are separate as far as items.
No, it's just one item.
Okay, okay. So we'll go ahead and roll call for the ordinance then?
You want to separate them? Is your second for both, or?
My second understanding was for both.
That's right.
Okay,
Okay, roll call vote for ordinance 2023-21. Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Ford?
no. Okay, thank you very much for that. Let's go now to commissioner comments. And we've already done the Stall of Fame, so additional comments.
None for me.
Right.
No,
Done? Wow, that surprises me.
I've had plenty
He's
today.
had a lot to say.
Okay, Commissioner Bolos?
No.
All right, I entertain a final motion then.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're now adjourned. Thank you very much.